In 1930, a group of French anthropologists traveled deep into the cliffs of West Africa to study a small, isolated tribe in Mali called the Dogon. These people had no telescopes, no universities, no contact with the modern world. They lived in mud brick homes carved into cliffsides, exactly as their ancestors had lived, for thousands of years. And yet, when the anthropologists began asking about the night sky, what the Dogon told them should have been impossible. They described a star invisible to the naked eye, a star that no human being on Earth had ever seen without a telescope. They described its orbit, its weight, its density. They described details about this star so precise, so technically accurate, that modern astronomers using the most advanced equipment on Earth couldn't fully confirm the Dogon's knowledge until 1970, 40 years later. So here is the question that has haunted scientists, historians, and astronomers for nearly a century. How did they know? Before we delve deeper into the mysteries of the stars, first and foremost, you should comprehend who the Dogon people truly are, for they are much more than just a mere detail in an academic study or a footnote within an article. The Dogon people are an incredibly remarkable civilization that has left its mark on human history. They have been living in the Bandiagara Escarpment, a dramatic sandstone cliff spanning nearly 150 kilometers across the central region of Mali for at least the past 700 years, provided they have been there since even longer ago. Their villages are constructed directly into the edge of the cliff face, some sitting perched atop hundreds of meters above the valley floor. Visuals: close-up shots of the escarpment, ancient, dramatic, or inspiring. Known for their extraordinary art forms, the Dogon people have employed their wooden masks, reaching impressive heights of up to 10 feet tall, as part of their complex ceremonial routines. Their lively dances, intricate rituals, and the overall cosmic beliefs they possess are among the most sophisticated systems of belief ever documented by anthropologists. In addition to having a devotion to religion, the Dogon people also possess a deep understanding of philosophy. They have crafted an intricate and complete portrayal of the universe, encompassing its origins, the mechanics of its function, and the place of humanity within it. At the very heart of this fascinating cosmic perspective lies a star. That star, known as Sirius, is in the center of the Dogonist cosmology. It is the guiding light that has helped them navigate their world, understand its mysteries, and preserve their ways of life. By exploring the stories of the Dogon, we gain insight into one of the most complex and sophisticated systems of belief ever known by mortals. And at the heart of this belief system is a star like Sirius. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. Every ancient civilization on Earth noticed it: the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Babylonians. So it's not surprising that the Dogon knew about Sirius. What is surprising is what they knew. When French anthropologists Marcel Griol and Germain Dieterlen spent years living among the Dogon in the 1930s and 40s, they documented something extraordinary. The Dogon didn't just know about Sirius. They knew about a companion star orbiting Sirius, a star completely invisible to the naked eye, a star that Western astronomers had only theorized might exist since 1844 and had only photographed for the first time in 1862. And even then, in 1930, the details about this star were still being debated and calculated by the world's leading astronomers. But the Dogon? They called it Potolo. And here is where it gets truly extraordinary. They said Potolo, what we now call Sirius B, was the smallest and heaviest thing in existence. In their cosmology, it was the seed of the universe, the anchor of creation. They said it moved in an elliptical orbit around Sirius. They said that orbit took 50 years to complete. They even had a ceremony, the Sigue Festival, that they held every 50 years in honor of this orbit. Now let me be very clear about what this means. Modern astronomy confirms that Sirius B does orbit Sirius in an elliptical orbit. That takes approximately 50.1 years to complete. Sirius B is also confirmed to be a white dwarf, one of the densest objects in the known universe. A star roughly the size of Earth but with the mass of the Sun. Extraordinarily small. Extraordinarily heavy. Exactly as the Dogon described. But it doesn't stop there. because the Dogon also described a third star in the Sirius system. They called it Myatolo, and for decades, scientists dismissed this completely. There is no third star, they said. The Dogon are wrong about that one. Except, in 1995, two French astronomers studying Sirius announced they had found evidence of a third body in the Sirius system. Let the weight of that land. The scientific community still debates this. The evidence is not yet conclusive, but the fact that the Dogon described it, long before any modern instrument could even suggest its existence, is difficult to explain away. Then there are the drawings. The Dogon have traditional sand drawings used in their cosmological teachings. When anthropologists first documented them, they looked like abstract ceremonial art. But when astronomers looked at them later, they saw something else entirely. The drawings accurately depicted the elliptical orbit of Sirius B around Sirius A, the rotation of Sirius B on its axis, the 4 major moons of Jupiter, the rings of Saturn. The rings of Saturn. Galileo only discovered those rings in 1610. With a telescope. How does an isolated tribe in the cliffs of Mali know about the rings of Saturn?
This is the question that splits historians, astronomers, and anthropologists into camps, and every answer is more fascinating than the last. Theory 1. Ancient Egypt. The Dogon's own oral tradition claims they migrated to Mali from the north, from a place they describe as being near a great river. Many historians believe this means they originally came from the Nile Valley, from ancient Egypt. And this matters because the ancient Egyptians were extraordinary astronomers. They tracked stars with a precision that still baffles modern scientists. The alignment of the pyramids at Giza, the orientation of temples to catch starlight at specific moments, their entire calendar built around the movements of Sirius itself. Is it possible that the Dogon carried astronomical knowledge out of ancient Egypt? Knowledge developed over thousands of years of careful observation. Knowledge that was then encoded into their cosmology and ceremonial life, and preserved perfectly for millennia. Theory 2. Ancient contact. Some researchers, and this is more controversial, suggest the Dogon's knowledge points to contact with an advanced civilization we don't yet have a full record of. Not aliens, but perhaps an advanced ancient African civilization whose astronomical achievements we haven't yet fully uncovered. Remember, we've only excavated a fraction of what lies beneath African soil. The most conservative explanation is that the Dogon, over thousands of years of careful, dedicated naked eye observation, were able to detect things about the night sky that modern science assumed was impossible without instruments. Some astronomers argue that under perfect atmospheric conditions, with enough patience and enough generations of accumulated observation, certain features of the Sirius system might have been detectable. And then there is the one that nobody in mainstream academia wants to say out loud, that African civilizations were far more scientifically advanced than we have been taught, that the knowledge existed, that it was real, and that the story of how they got it was deliberately buried along with everything else. Here's what doesn't get talked about enough. After Marcel Griaule published his findings in the 1940s and 50s, the academic establishment didn't celebrate the discovery. They tried to bury it. A skeptic named Walter van Beek went to study the Dogon in the 1990s and claimed he couldn't find any Dogon who knew about Sirius B. The academic world exhaled. See, they said Griaule was wrong. The Dogon don't actually know this. Case closed. Except, Van Beek didn't speak the Dogon language fluently. He didn't have access to the inner circle of Dogon priests, the Hogon, who are the keepers of the deepest cosmological knowledge. The most sacred astronomical knowledge of the Dogon isn't shared openly. It is passed down through initiation. You have to earn the right to hear it. Griaule spent decades with the Dogon. He learned the language. He built relationships. He was eventually granted access to knowledge that had never been shared with an outsider. Van Beek spent a fraction of that time and found nothing. And the academic world chose to believe Van Beek. Ask yourself why? Ask yourself why, when faced with evidence of extraordinary African astronomical knowledge, the instinct of Western academia was to find a reason to dismiss it. Ask yourself who benefits from a world where African civilizations are seen as primitive. Ask yourself what else has been dismissed. What else has been buried? What other knowledge, sitting in the oral traditions, the ceremonial practices, the ancient manuscripts of African peoples, is waiting to be taken seriously? The Dogon are still there, in their clifftop villages, still performing the Sigui ceremony every 50 years, still encoding the secrets of Sirius into their dances and their masks and their sand drawings, still carrying knowledge that the modern world cannot fully explain. They don't need our validation. They never did. The Dogon knew about a star that scientists couldn't see. They knew its orbit, its weight, its density. They knew about it centuries, possibly millennia, before a single telescope was pointed at the sky. And when the evidence was presented to the world looked away. Now you know. And knowing changes everything. If this video opened your eyes, share it. Someone in your life needs to hear this. Subscribe to AfriCrypt Stories, because the vault is full, and we are just getting started.